Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to my channel this morning or afternoon if you're listening in the afternoon or evening. Um, I wanted to share today on home. And I found a blog that recently, maybe I had heard of it in the past, but I recently came across it again. And it's a blog called Love Song to My Life, and it's by Gloria Gaither. If anyone out there is familiar with Bill and Gloria Gaither, Gloria is the one who wrote that. And if you are familiar with them, then you'll know that Gloria does a lot of speaking in their songs, especially in the past. Some of their older songs, she did some speaking along with the singing. And it is just always so beautiful and meaningful and, heart-touching. And so when I came across this blog, I was so thrilled. I'm going to show you a copy of what the title looks like. It's Love Song to My Life. And if you just go on Google, you can find it very easily. Just type in Love Song to My Life, Gloria Gaither blog or something like that, and her whole blog will come up. And it looks like she has been doing these probably since about 2017. So today I'm going to read one that she wrote on September 5th of 2025. So that was just maybe 6 or 7 months ago. And this one is called Home, the Most Loaded Word. And first, before I read it, I want to read from Psalm 90, verses 1 and 2. It says in the NIV, Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. And I love that Moses says in that psalm that the Lord is their dwelling place. He is the one in whom we abide and we dwell if we are believers in Christ. And let me go ahead and read what Gloria has written here. Writers, especially poets, learn to choose words that come with their own built-in emotional baggage. This is especially true when one wants to say a lot in as few words as possible. The right, well-chosen few words can cover more territory than a whole carelessly constructed paragraph. And by the way, I might put some commentary in as I read this blog, because there are some things I want to say. One of the words that carries such built-in DNA is the word home. There are other words listed in the thesaurus as synonyms: house, dwelling, abode, residence. See what I mean? Home says more. Most of us have lived in several houses. We have had many addresses. We have built or bought different styles of dwellings and stayed there long enough for them to qualify as residences. But home, well, that's another story. If your heart says you need to go home, where would that be? What does that place look like in your mind? And I'm gonna just put in a little commentary of my own here in this spot. So the question she asked and she posed to us as the reader is, if your heart says you need to go home, where would that be? And I think for me, it's first of all, where my family is. It's really important to me that I'm near my family, and we are actually getting ready to move. That's why one reason why I really like this article right now is because we are getting ready to move from our house to another house in a nearby town. It's only about maybe 9 or 10 minutes, maybe 9 minutes away from where we are. And it's right over the border into Ohio. And it's just like a little village that we're going to be living in. They call it a village because it's so small. And it puts us just a matter of minutes from our daughter in one direction and our grown son in the other direction. So that is so perfect because we get to be so close to both of our children, our grown children and our grandchildren. So, and then also another place, what does that place look like in your mind? So first of all, for me, it looks like a place where my family is, where the people I love are, and the people I care about the most. And secondly, I would say that my home, when I think of home as a child, our family moved around a lot as children, and so I can say I had a lot of homes. I lived in a lot of places, but when I go back to what I would call home is where my grandparents lived. That was actually in Morristown, Indiana, and I spent most of my younger years there with just surrounded by my dad was raising me by himself, and I was just so surrounded by people who loved me, like my dad, my grandma, my aunts, my uncle, um, my great grandmother. And it was just a very strong foundational time in my life, even though I didn't have a mother in my life. And that is where I think of as home, as my original home, I guess you could say. All right, so on with Gloria's blog. Some of us would say it's the place we now live, the place we raised our babies and planted our gardens and decorated rooms to suit the tastes and activities of our family. Others of us would name a place we haven't been in years, the home place where Grandma lived, or Daddy built, or the kids grew up. I love that word, the home place. For some, home means a part of the country that shaped our view of things or gave us our roots. The South or the Plains, the Smokies or Colorado. Some of us long for the lake country or the red dirt of Georgia, the coast or the wide open spaces of the Old West. Some long for a home they've never had. Abuse, estrangement, mobility, or divorce may have kept them from ever having a sense of place. On the outside looking in, they've ached in some deep place to identify with that tone in others' voices they hear when they say home. And I would ask you, this is my own commentary, is where do you call home? Where she's listed several things that people would call home, and then there are people who long for a home who've never had a home. So where are you? I would like to hear in the comment section if you feel led to share or comfortable sharing where you feel home is to you. And this is the season for going home, making our way back to the place and the people that shaped us. Helps us remember who we are. She wrote this blog in September, so I think she's referring to, this is when she says this is the season for going home. I think she's saying the season when people come home, like for the holidays. I think that's what she means. It helps us remember the stories, hopefully the good ones, that we want to pass on to our children, so they will know who they are too. Sadly, for far too many, though, this is a time for digging deeper into a commitment to recovery from pain, estrangement, or alienation. The good news is that whether or not we have a healthy shaping place, we are being called by one nevertheless. One way or another, we can all go home. That's what the gospel is all about. That is what this Jesus we follow came to do, to bring all the lost children of the Father to the only perfect home. And when we get there, we'll know our hearts have been there all along. We'll hear the only perfect Father say, "Welcome home, my child. I've been waiting for you." I just think that is so beautiful. So we can have hope that even if we were, didn't have the perfect home, which none of us did, if there are people who just feel like they didn't have a home at all, then you can know that the Lord is our home. And just like the Psalm says here, it says, "Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations." He has been our dwelling place. He is our home. And we have a home waiting for us in heaven if we have come to Christ. And so I am going to read a little bit from the comments section that was under that blog. I'm not going to read all of them. There were a lot on this blog, but I want to read a few. Linda says, praying for the Kirk family as Charlie was brought home this past week. She's referring to Charlie Kirk. This article was written around that time, and she was praying for their home as Charlie was brought home to the Lord that week. Ria says, this world is not my home. I am just a passing through. And then let's see here. Some of them were longer than others. I just invite you to go to the blog yourself. Try to find this one. It is dated September 5th, 2025. You can read the other comments yourself. Mark says, true, this world is not our home. Doug says, probably most of the people reading this blog think about the home they grew up in, and even more so the home they're heading to, which is hard to imagine how wonderful that will be. But perhaps to most people today, it's impossible to imagine a heavenly home, let alone how wonderful it might be, because they never grew up in a good home. Like a lot of us have been blessed to grow up in. However, if we can point them to Jesus and let him change their lives, they will have a completely different perspective on the eternal home that awaits them. This reminds me of the song George Younts used to sing that went, thanks to Calvary, I don't live here anymore. Let's pray and look for those divine appointments with people on the wide road so that we can tell them about Jesus and get them onto the narrow road that will lead them to a heavenly home that will be more than they can imagine or hope, because Jesus will be there. So there were just a lot of really good comments under that blog, and I wanted to read one more. I have quite a few marked, but I'm not going to read them all. One person put some lyrics to a song here, which I liked. Okay, Christine said, what a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace, when he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. And then she wrote, home, sweet home. So I hope you enjoyed this short video today, and feel free to put your comments about your home, how you feel about home, where you consider your home, and if you have any scriptures about home that are meaningful to you, please put them in the comments and share, and let's just kind of make a community of living a simple, quiet life, asking the Lord to bring us back to that simplicity of life that he shows us how to live in the scriptures. And God bless you today. I hope you have a wonderful day and week. I'll see you next time.